Today I am restocking my granola because we just recently ran out, and I basically always like to have homemade granola in my pantry. A bag of granola at the grocery store these days is like $7 or $8. It's so expensive. So making it at home not only saves you a lot of money, but you can also customize it very easily depending on what you already have. I love a yogurt snack at the end of the night. Sometimes if I want a little sweet treat, I'll have just a bowl of granola with some milk or some chocolate milk. It's so good. So that's what I'm gonna do today. I'm just gonna whip up a big batch of granola and then I'll keep it in the pantry and it will store for a few weeks. The thing about granola is it's basically a formula. So once you know all the different components that go into making it, you are then able to swap things out for whatever you have, and you'll still end up with a great product that you can easily change up as you want to. So the basic ingredients that you need for homemade granola are rolled oats, you need some type of sweetener, you need some type of fat, some seasonings, and any toppings or add-ins that you want. So usually for my granola, I like to use maple syrup or honey. You could use coconut sugar, brown sugar. Just sometimes with the sugars like that, they can burn a little bit more easily, so you just have to be careful. Agave, there's so many different types of sweeteners. For the fat, I usually use coconut oil, but you could use olive oil, just has a little bit of a strong taste. Canola oil, you could use butter, you could use tallow. You just need some type of fat that's gonna coat all the oats and sort of help bind things together. And then you need your seasonings. So I always put a little bit of salt. I love to do cinnamon. You can do any kind of seasoning that you want. Sometimes in the fall, I'll do like a pumpkin pie spice, or I'll make like a mixture of just warm and cozy spices, nutmeg, cinnamon, cardamum, allspice, that kind of thing. Oh, I also like to do vanilla extract or almond extract, or both, and then any add-ins that you want. So I love to add just whatever nuts and seeds I have. I love just that extra crunch, so I add in whatever I have. It changes every single time. Every time I go to make granola, I literally open the pantry and I go, what do I have today? And then I just pull out whatever I have, and that's what I use. If you want to add in things like dried fruit or coconut, you will want to do that after the granola is done baking. Otherwise, it can burn and just get really sticky and messy in the oven. So you'll do that at the end. You'll just mix everything in that way. Same thing goes for like chocolate chips or something like that. So that's the basic kind of overview. Rolled oats, some kind of sweetener, some kind of fat, spices, and any add-ins. So once you know those categories, you have the basic formula for granola, and you can just start mixing things together and bake it, and you have granola. I will put all the measurements that I'm using today in the description box, but feel free to change things up a little bit. You don't have to follow a rigid recipe when you're making granola. It's so easy to be flexible. That's one of the things that I've been trying to learn myself in the last few years of cooking, is how to make a recipe my own, or how to figure things out without exact amounts. And it takes practice and it takes time. So I encourage you, granola is a great opportunity to try that, but I will leave exactly what I'm doing in the description box. Like I said, we go through granola very quickly in this house, so I'm making a pretty large batch. I'm gonna do 5 cups of rolled oats. If you wanted to use like Rice Krispies or something to give it an extra crunch, now would be the time to add that, but I don't have any of those, so I'm just doing the oats. Next, I'm gonna add cinnamon, and I love cinnamon, so I'm gonna add a lot. And now the nuts. I also love walnuts, so I'm just gonna, once I mix it around, I'll see if I want to add more of anything. So I'm also going to add these almonds. I just have a little bit. This is also a great way to use up like little bits of leftover nuts that you have. And let's just mix this first. The cinnamon smells so good. I think that looks pretty good. Now I'm gonna add my wet ingredients. I have some coconut oil and some maple syrup in here. I did half a cup of coconut oil and 1 cup of maple syrup. I put them both in here together, and I'm also gonna add vanilla extract and almond extract. So I do a lot of vanilla extract, probably about a couple tablespoons. And then I do a little less almond extract. I love the taste of almond extract. And then I'm just gonna mix this together. Usually I have to do an extra step of melting the coconut oil, but it's so warm in my house that the coconut oil is completely liquid. Saves me a step. So now I just have to pour this over. Sometimes I just do a little bit first. Give it a mix and then do the rest. I might actually add some of these. I just found these in my basement pantry, so why not? Oh, the salt. I'm not doing a lot of salt, but because it's sweet, I just like to put the salt in to balance it out a little bit. Let's taste it. So this is how you can tell if the sweetness and spice level is good. And it is. If you needed to add anything, you could just add it right to here. So you see how quickly this came together? This is the granola right here. Now I just have to bake it and then it's done. So when I'm saying that it's easy and quick, I really mean it. So I'm gonna go parchment paper, some trays, and then I'll put this on there. All right, I'm gonna transfer this as evenly as I can onto these 2 baking sheets. And then I'm gonna take my spatula and just press it down into an even layer. Oh, I forgot to mention, if you want extra clumps in your granola, something that I learned, like a trick that I learned, is you can add in a little bit, like maybe a 1/4 cup to a 1/2 cup of flour, all-purpose flour, whole wheat flour, whatever you want. You can add it into the granola when it's in the bowl and just mix it together really well. And that helps the granola to form these nice big clumps when it comes out. So sometimes I do that, but these days I've been liking my granola a little bit looser. So I obviously did not do that today. Okay, so these are ready for the oven. So I set my oven to 300 degrees Fahrenheit, and I will first start by baking them for 15 minutes. Okay, it's been 15 minutes, so now I just like to rotate the pans. So I just flip them around to hopefully try and get them to bake evenly. And I'm gonna set another 15-minute timer. Okay, another 15 minutes has passed. So now I'm gonna take them out, and before the final bake, I like to flip the granola over in sections as best as I can, and then I'll bake it again for another few minutes. Sometimes this is a little tricky. This is never perfect, but I just do the best I can. And then I'll just press it back down. All right, so now these will go back in the oven for another, it could be 5 minutes, it could be 15 minutes, but you really do need to keep an eye on it because it can burn from 1 minute to the next. So I'm just gonna start with 5 minutes and then I'll keep checking on it. This underside looks pretty done to me, so I definitely wanna give the other side just a few minutes to bake. So I'll put these back in. I think I'm gonna take these out. The thing about granola when you bake it is when you take it out, it doesn't really look like it's fully baked yet. I'm not sure if you can see, but it still looks like it's a little bit wet. And that is how it's going to look when you first take it out. If you wait until it's completely dry, it will be burnt to a crisp. So it's going to continue to bake here on these hot baking sheets. And as it cools, it will fully dry out. So you want to leave it on these trays until it's completely cooled before you taste it, before you put it away. If I were to taste a piece of this right now, it would not be crunchy. It would be a little bit soft still because it's not fully done baking and it's not cooled. So the hardest part about this whole process is waiting for this to be done because it makes your house smell so good. This is one of those things, if you have people coming over or if you're gonna sell your house or something, I'm telling you, you gotta bake this granola because anyone will come in here and be like, what is that? It smells so delicious. So I'm going to use some serious self-control and not touch this until it's fully cooled, and then I'll come back so that we can put it away. The granola has cooled, and now comes the second hardest part. It's so good. The second hardest part, which is putting this away before I eat most of it. If I leave this here, between me and my husband, we will just eat like at least one full tray. We will just keep coming back and snacking on it. It's so good. Let's sample this tray. I gotta stop eating this. Here is where the parchment paper comes in handy, although be careful because things can go wrong real quick. First, let's try to get it to gather in the middle. Something I've learned is to put your container on the tray just in case there's any spillage. Now for the second tray. If you store this granola in an airtight container, it will definitely keep for a good few weeks. So I hope you give it a try. I hope you love it as much as I do, and I'll see you in my next video.